Just boom.
All right, it's 10 o'clock on Monday morning for the first policy committee meeting in January of 2025. First thing up to agenda after call to order is an election of the committee chair. Dr. Redmond advised that Tracy Smith does not want to do it. So we need to decide who wants to be the committee chair.
I'd like to make a nomination to reinstate Chris Scaff as the committee chair of the policy committee meeting, effective immediately. Do I hear a second?
Okay, I'll second. I'm all right with it. It's not like I hear a train whistle blowing.
No, you did a great job. I really want good balance.
All right. With that going forward, motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, that's set. Let's go to section B. Under policy, I had asked that last year that be brought back. There were some things that we needed to clarify on it. Pretty much Christine, let me get your copy up. I got my copy with notes and I got your copy. To start off on page 2, vacancies in any office should be filled by board election. Couple of us talked and feel that should be roll call vote instead of election. It's still an election. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Or you have this option. I mean, we have this option. Vacancies already is written in detail in policy 004. So, I mean, this is a redundancy. I mean, I believe that line can actually, that sentence can actually be taken out completely. But if it does stay, then possibly the link would be the same that's in policy 004. It's link 24 PS 315. So I think we have two options. One, leave it and just add the word roll call, majority vote, or however you want to say it. But what I'm saying is it's already written in policy 004. So I'm not sure why it was put in here. I don't remember, but it is redundant, so it could be taken out.
Could we do something like, so vacancies in the office shall be filled by board election per policy 004?
Sure.
Does that clean it up?
Yeah, that does.
I gotta see.
If you want to, but I would just double check my work, please, because I did read 004. So please take a look.
I just opened it up and yeah, it's on that there's
I'm trying to get it open.
for three paragraphs on vacancies in policy 004.
Yeah, or you could just put the link to,
That's under the membership.
yeah, or you could just put behind it. You could do, which I like that idea, Dr. Redmond, per policy 004, because
Where are you at on 004?
In vacancies. So it has numbers,
Vacancies,
qualifications,
yes.
election, and vacancies.
because under the very last page, 004 policy isn't actually listed. So you'd have to say that. So either way, you could either take it out, leave it, or Dr. Redmond's idea. They're all valid as far as I'm concerned.
I'm okay with that too. I gotta make a note here. What did you say by board election per
Policy 004.
policy 004?
Then you can just,
then everything after that, so
Could just delete it out.
everything after the semicolon goes away.
Okay, that sounds like a great. All right, so I'm gonna cross out my notes. Good.
Christine, I hope you still want to talk to me after I'm done with this. Okay, a little further on down, under the appointments. I think we need to change the numbers around. Under solicitor, we have number 1, tax collector, number 2, solicitor. Number 3 is assistant secretary. I think we need to put the secretary in there also. If you follow link 19, it discusses that. But make secretary number 3 and then change the numbers down so we would have 7 of them. We had talked about that before when Tracy was here. And we never really got a definitive answer. But policy or number 19 states the assistant secretary shall be appointed from the membership of the board of school directors, but shall not be any other officer thereof, shall not receive compensation such as services, and shall be bonded.
Secretary may be appointed from the members.
Right. I think that secretary should be on that list as an appointment also.
So you're saying number 1 stays the same, number 2 stays the same,
Mhm.
number 3 is secretary, or should say board secretary.
Right, should say board
Board
secretary,
secretary, okay, number 3 would
because
be,
we appoint her.
Yeah, I would like to have that checked by PSBA, because that it's not in there makes me think that there's a provision somewhere else that takes care of that already, but we'll check it out with PSBA to see.
Okay, because there
If there's a
should be
reason why
a
it's not.
board secretary. Right now, we're sharing one. But there should be
Because it doesn't mean that the board secretary is a standalone position with no other responsibilities. That doesn't happen.
no, I understand that.
That's what do you mean by shared?
But, well, we share her with you and other people. And I understand that, just like we did before.
Yep.
But secretary should also be appointed on there, because
Well,
we
I hear what
do
you're saying.
vote for her in June, so she would be appointed.
Correct, but what I'm thinking is there might be a provision for that already written in policy or in code somewhere else. So
Okay,
that's why I'm saying, I'm not arguing saying that
right,
the board doesn't do that function. I'm absolutely with you. Yes. I think it might be lined up, it might be set out somewhere else in the policy.
Okay.
So we'll check with PSBA on that one.
yeah,
okay, so what I'm understanding is it's gonna stay the same right now, but if it's beneficial to us, or if it need be, then board secretary will be number 3 recommended. And then every number preceding that shall go up in 1 digit value.
Right.
Okay, good, thank you,
so
Dr.
we'd
Redmond.
actually have 7 of them versus 6.
Yep, So this is
depending
to be
upon what
determined,
that
okay.
says.
easy peasy. PSBA, Dr. Redmond. Thank you.
Then on page 3. Under board committees. The board has the authority to approve board committees. Tracy had thought very strongly on this, as we did also. We forgot to change. It says board committee is authorized to take official action. We discussed that. That's supposed to be board committees are not to take official action.
Yes, are not authorized, I remember that.
Yeah, they're not authorized to take official action.
So we need to add
so-
2 words.
That
So-
needs changed.
What that sentence is intending is in the case that a board committee is authorized to take official action or render advice, they have to do so in accordance with the Sunshine Act. That sentence doesn't in and of itself authorize the committees to take official action. the board still has to designate, and this is outlined elsewhere in policy, the board still has to specifically authorize anything that's not a quorum of the board to take official action. If the board doesn't specifically authorize any subcommittee or subgroup of the board to take official action without quorum, they're not allowed to. That's just the way that.
Right, well, I remember Tracy spoke very strongly on that and wanted that or not.
Yes, it's always been.
Because
Right,
that,
but that's not the where you put that. So
that matches
sentence-
the next paragraph down where it says that we can't.
Correct. So that first sentence just says, if the board elects to have a smaller segment of the board to take official action, and there are situations where that may be warranted,
Right,
then if you do that, then they have to go by the Sunshine Act. That's all that first sentence says. It's not saying that they
Okay.
do, that's not saying that you have to. It's just if the board ever decides that it wants to elect a subgroup to take official action, the only way they can do that is if they follow the Sunshine Act.
but there should not ever be a board that has the right to take official action.
Right, we can have a
That-
special
that
meeting.
is
I'm-
not necessarily a blanket. I don't believe that blanket statement to be true. There are instances where the board elects to have someone take official action.
Mm.
For instance, the board,
The board does, not a committee.
you
The-
can, the thing, okay,
Well,
so this is a thing from
Go ahead,
Robert's
please.
rules. Robert's rule says that that a board can elect a subgroup of the board to take official action
Mhm.
and give it guidance on its behalf. So in the case where that happens, and I'm not saying you should, I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm not saying it happens or it doesn't happen, but if that does come to pass, what this first sentence is saying, if that does come to pass, you have to follow the Sunshine Act.
Okay,
That first sentence has nothing, it doesn't say you have to, it doesn't say they exist. It just says, if for whatever reason, somewhere down the line, somewhere in the future, the board says, hey, we can't all make it to this thing, but we need the board to take action, we're gonna give you guidance. Subcommittee of the board to do this thing that we can't all be a part of, or a quorum can't be a part of, but it's a necessary function.
I disagree. I'm sorry. I hear what you're saying, Dr. Urban, but today in the world of Zoom, we're fine. I am very, because if we get some bad actors, please, I've been here 7 years. If we get some bad actors who want to get something pushed through, okay, it's called a workaround. And the more we close workarounds, the happier everybody's going to be.
Elizabeth, my point on this is that this sentence isn't where you make that correction. That first sentence is not where you say the board will never, ever, ever have a subgroup act on behalf of the board. That's not what that first sentence purpose is. If you want to say that the board will never, ever, ever have a subcommittee that can, or a subgroup that can take official action on the part of the board, then you can say that in the next paragraph.
We did.
well,
It says in the
I
second.
know when we discussed this before, and I'm trying to go back, all three of us decided that needed to be changed, and Tracy was pretty adamant about it.
And I am too. So I appreciate what you're saying, but worst case scenario, if we have to make an urgent decision, we
It
have
has to be a
Zoom.
board.
And that's
And
what
we-
the second paragraph does it already. That's my point. The second paragraph already says, we're not going to do it.
That's right. We want
Right,
consistency.
and the first paragraph that doesn't change the consistency. I think you're misreading what the intent of that first sentence is. The intent of that first sentence is you have to follow the Sunshine Act. That's all the first sentence is saying.
And that's why they'll still follow the Sunshine Act, but they're not going to make a vote on behalf of the entire board.
And that's what the second paragraph says.
Well, let's just put in there, we agree. Board committees are not authorized to take official action or render.
That's not true though, because the board does render it, the subcommittees do render advice on
Okay, well
district
then,
business.
all right, let's do this. Chris, if I may, board committees are, add the word are authorized to render advice. Just delete out the words, add the word are, A-R-E. Board committees are, A-R-E, authorized to, and then strike out, take official action or.
That's the same thing. Yep, you can take that out.
There you
Okay.
go. And then we need to add the word and, then to make the the English grammar, I think, a little more clean. Then render advice on district business and A&D shall operate in accordance with the provisions of the Sunshine Act. I think we got.
I don't agree on the syntax there.
Oh,
Board
okay.
Board committees authorized to render advice shall operate in accordance with the provisions of the Sunshine Act is.
You're correct. My grammar, that's right. Good catch. All right, so we agree on that. Board committees are, add an ARE, authorized to strike out,
Render advice.
take official action or, so we're striking out 4 words of text. Good. That's great. I think we're done with that one, Mr. Chair.
Hang on, I'm getting there.
All right. Want me to take a look? at that?
No, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next paragraph down. Towards the end of it, it says all committee meetings shall be open for public as provided by the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act and provide a opportunity for public comment. I researched that hard over the past week. And at the end of public comment, we need to put a period. And we need to remove at the discretion of the committee chair.
I think we agreed on it 3 months ago.
I thought we did too, but it's still there.
Yeah, strike out, okay, so what you're saying is a period after the word comment,
Yes,
And then
and
strike
at the
out-
discretion of the committee chair is gone.
that's struck now. Yep, we talked about that. Yeah,
Because per sunshine law, we have to let the public into the meetings.
That's not consistent with our solicitor's advice. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying what the solicitor says is committee meetings do not have that same requirement to allow public comment.
that's okay.
That's our solicitor's advice. You can do with that what you will, but I'm just making sure that you.
Well,
Yeah,
see
I'm
that
fine
part?
with that. Because it's just a comment. We're not deliberating with the public,
yeah,
but it just allows them, if they have something on the agenda, that they can just make a comment. And I have no problem with that. In fact, I encourage it, to be honest with you. Yeah? Are we good with that?
so let's put a period there
After the word comment.
at the word comment and we'll strike out at the discretion of the committee chair.
Agreed.
Under that, the first line with the X committee shall consist of no more than, it says 3 period members. We should remove that period.
It's not on what I've seen on the line here. So when I'm looking at the one that's attached to the agenda, there's no period there. It's 3 with 3 in
I see a
parentheses.
period on it.
Let me take it.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's
easy
so
We
typing.
should
tiny.
delete that and it should say 3 board members.
Part of the line with the parentheses. It's just the line continuing, it's not an extra.
Okay, because then on the printed out one, it looks like it's a period.
Oh, yeah, there's a period there. I see it
But
now.
I think it should say committee shall
Oh,
consist of no more.
When you zoom way in, I see. Having the board there is redundant. No, you can't put anybody except for board members on there.
All right,
All right,
I can see that. Okay, so we remove the period after the bracket.
right.
Well, parentheses. Okay, got it. Good catch.
The next one, committee shall not include a majority of the membership of the board. That should say at the end of it, with the exception of the committee of the whole.
I agree. I see
That
that.
should just be added on there because that's the one committee we have that you can have a majority of the board. That
Yeah.
just kind of cleans that up a little bit.
No, I
What do
see
you,
that.
what's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. That makes sense. Just add the words, what'd you say? What'd you say?
With the exception of the committee of the whole.
Of the exception of.
We can just use that same line that's right down below where it says except for committees of the whole. Right, under where it says members who make sure that the non-voting thing, just use that same exact wording.
Where are you at?
Right below there. where it says in bold, except for committees of the whole, just use
Yeah.
that same exact
Oh,
phrasing.
comma,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
So,
yeah.
because if there ends up being another committee of the whole for some reason down the line.
Right,
That's excellent. Just take that same text and
Yep.
put it on the back of that one.
Yep.
Comma.
you all right with that, Christine?
Does that make sense, Chris? Does it,
Sorry.
I've drawn little arrows and lines on this thing you want me to mark up.
well, we can always proof it.
We already added, and it's not on the copy Christine printed for me.
It's on board docs.
Yeah, it
so
is. Okay.
That one got changed.
Yeah, we're adding in the next one that's changed. That's good. That's good.
The only question I have on that page,
Yeah,
Chair Chris, at the bottom of page 3, this part I'm not very comfortable with. I would like to see something like 30 days. Okay, it says the president may appoint as soon after the organization meeting as practical, members of the board to the following standing committees where they should serve. So the president may appoint as soon after the organization. Can we at least say something like 30 days or just something so there's a timeline there? So who knows, maybe next year, the year after, it sort of gets forgotten or,
well, if you want to do something like that, it should probably say something like prior to the next meeting, January meeting.
prior to the February meeting, you mean?
No, because we're sworn in and all that's done at the
December.
reorganization
So it
meeting
should
in
be just
December.
January. I see what you're saying.
So
Yep.
the committee members should be picked and then before the January meeting.
Or at the January meeting or
Prior to.
prior to?
the January meeting, and that's what we're doing right now.
Well, he didn't say anything yet, but that's what made me think of it. So the president may appoint, where do you want to write?
I
Prior
got it.
to the January meeting.
Where it says as soon after the organization meeting is practicable and prior to the January meeting. Would that be all right there?
Yeah, I like that. Prior
Dr. Redmond, your thought on that?
to the,
Yeah, I mean, seems to make sense to do that before the January committee meetings come around.
Right,
okay? All right, so we'll just add that text. Good call, Chris. As soon after the organization meeting is practical and prior to the January meeting, comma, okay. Got it.
January board meeting.
January
Yeah.
board meeting, yeah, because someone could say, oh, what meeting does that mean? Yep, that's good, okay.
And I think it makes sense to leave off work study or voting meeting because it's conceivable that a future board may not want to have 2 meetings.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Taking me a second, because I gotta mark my copy and hers. Are you good with where we're at, Christine? I don't wanna rush it. All right, anything else for 005?
Yes.
What?
Did we ever, I'm assuming we found out, and we can still look into this. When we look at the one that's currently adopted under appointments, that thing from 1949, the board shall have the authority to appoint the school physician and the school dentist.
Yes, we did look into that. I thought I sent a note out about that.
Did you? I don't remember.
And
Yeah, you were gonna check on that.
yeah, and I sent out a note to the.
Yeah.
Not necessary. Great.
Not necessary.
Yeah,
Yay.
because that
School
falls
district
in
don't
under
appoint.
the other appointments, if I remember.
Yeah, right. So
If
took
we
those off
needed to.
because it was taken off in this new version because school districts don't appoint dentists and doctors.
Right.
anymore.
Good, good. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, I'm just going by my old notes. And then in the current one that's adopted, I believe I don't remember which board members were there at the time, but it was when Dr. Martin was here. Could have been her second year, but please don't quote me on that. The bottom line, the majority of the board members they put this in this for a reason. Contact with the school board solicitor that's currently adopted. Now, they put this text in here because what was happening at that time was the solicitor was being contacted by every Mary, Joe, and Tom. And there was nothing in any policy anywhere that stated any employee could not contact the
Where
solicitor
are you at on this policy?
on the currently adopted 005, the one that's on our books right now.
Mhm.
I believe it's page 2.
Page,
Yes, page 2. At the bottom of page 2, it says contact with solicitor. And the prior policy committee and the prior board with the prior superintendent, they wrote that text to take control over the cost that was happening because everybody was contacting the solicitor. So here's
why
something
don't
to
I
think.
see that?
It's in the currently adopted 005. So get out of your drafts, please.
Yeah,
Go
it
go
must
to,
be in my drafts.
go to active.
I am, hold on, I'll go there.
Please, I want everyone to see this, please, so we can discuss this. I'm sorry, but my leg is falling asleep. Ugh.
I was looking at the wrong.
It's on the very, very
Oh,
bottom of the
gosh.
page. Bottom of page 2. Is there anyone that doesn't see it yet? And I'll keep going, or I'll wait. Please, let me know. Am I good to go?
Yeah.
Do you see it? Okay. Contact with the solicitor. The reason why this text was put in is, like I said, it was literally out of control at that time. Now, they put this in, and then now it became what I believe too constrictive, where a school board member, we're all equal. School board has to go through the school board president or the superintendent to get approval to ask the solicitor a question. Now, I'm because of the history, I truly believe something should stay in our policy. But this is what I'm suggesting to start off the conversation. Keep the text as you first see it in the first sentence, okay? For the effective use in time and budgetary funds, comma. Strike out the word board members. Strike it out. Add KCSD employees and administrators shall have clearance from the superintendent. Cross out board president or. So that way, Dr. Redmond, if you have an employee that works at CTC and they have a question, that stops them from directly contacting the solicitor. They have to contact you and say, look.
The solicitor won't respond to anybody, any employee, unless it's me without my authorization.
But
They can contact, but he won't respond.
That's probably in an.
I
AR
understand
too.
that, but right now, that's the way the policy reads, but unless it's in a policy, they have the right to do that. Whether or not the solicitor decides to answer or not, that might be fine for right now, but in the future, if we have a different solicitor, we're gone.
I don't believe that's necessary. Honestly, I don't believe
Okay.
that's necessary.
Okay, all right. So,
And then from my experience,
okay,
everywhere I've been, everywhere I've seen,
okay,
the solicitor only has direct contact with the superintendent or the board president. Unless one of those two says other members of the board need to, or I direct someone on the staff to.
okay.
That's everywhere I've been, that's the way, that's the
Okay,
situation. it has
well, all right, well then, if you want to keep this verbatim the way it is, I'm semi okay with that. I just will say this from history is, I have had legitimate questions that I wanted to ask as a school board member to the solicitor, but the board president has denied me access. Not all the time, but sometimes, and I never felt my requests were unreasonable. So then I had to do my own research and do my own, et cetera, which I did. So my question is, do you want to hold off on this paragraph, or I should say, a couple of sentences? Or should we just copy and paste it right now as verbatim and put it into the draft? Either way, I feel very strongly there has to be something in our policies that stipulates who and who shall not contact the solicitor. Otherwise, we're going to go right back to where we were 5 years ago, I'm afraid.
Kind of generally accepted procedures around this kind of thing isn't necessarily written down. It's kind of a general understanding that the solicitor communicates with the board president and the superintendent. And I'm not sure, I'd have to look at our work agreement if that's the way it writes, if it's written into our agreement with the solicitor. But my understanding is the reason that it's not written into policy is because in the PSBA policy is because that's the way it works, is the solicitor is only supposed to have contact with the board president and the superintendent.
Oh, I hear you.
Unless there's some reason that the board president or superintendent feels like it needs to go with other folks.
I fully respect what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, but I'm letting you know the history. It got abused,
Yep.
and I feel very strongly every time we find a gray area where we think of all the good actors, it's always that 1 or 2% that ruins it for everybody, which we have to acknowledge. So
It does say here, not to interrupt you,
Mhm.
the board member has a right to petition the full board at its next regular meeting for an authorization.
Mhm.
So if there's a question, you could email the entire board and say, I'm requesting that.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. So that's why I'm saying, no, I feel very strongly that this wording needs to go in there because, and here's another rationale. We were asking some questions about some finances, and someone in the business office during a meeting said, when we asked very specific questions about solicitor invoices, that individual stated that, well, we get invoices from the solicitors, but they don't itemize what it's about. And the conversation dropped. So, I'm just, again, I feel very strongly that this text needs to stay in the 005. And I hear what you're saying. I wish we could trust and move forward, but it's a gray area and there is history here. So please respect the history.
Well, it's your policy. You can put in there what you want.
No, but I want open dialogue. I do.
I don't think it's necessary, but that's my opinion, right? We have a difference of opinion on that. That's okay. It's now up to the board to decide what they want in their policy.
Chair Chris?
I think that's something that we'll have to ask the whole board. I understand what you're saying and I understand what I'm reading. So that may be a question we just have to bring to the entire board.
I'm okay with
And
that.
see-
I want to hear what the whole board has to say, to be honest with
See
you.
what they think.
But at
about
least
it.
if we could bring it to them. Can we put it in the draft in brackets with an explanation saying to be discussed?
We could do
With the
similar to what
or-
PSBA does a little,
Yeah,
Yeah,
to put an X on there and not just leave it like that.
yeah,
Just copy that over with a little check box on there.
that would be really helpful. Thank
Just the
you.
first paragraph. The second paragraph is a different issue.
we were just gonna make these changes and put 005 back on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So when we're done, all changes will go back to first read again.
Right, so we could put it on as first read. We can put it on first read in the voting session on Thursday, or we can wait until February and put it on the normal work session.
I think let's put it on Thursday.
Okay.
So that we
First read.
can keep moving forward.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
if they want
Christine will
changes,
have
they'll
to
give us
create a
time.
first read section on Thursday's agenda and put 005 on as a first read in a separate section from the rest of the policies that are in for second read.
Yeah, because we did have it on it originally.
Yep.
And then we saw some things that we went to change that didn't get changed, so we're just bringing it back up.
Dr. Redmond, is it everything under contact with solicitor?
No, it's just
Just
that
that
first
very
paragraph.
first one. So
Yeah.
the second one, starting with the president, is not.
Yeah, because it's that one takes up a different issue.
Where do you guys want that placed at? Is there a specific
Just-
area?
In the same, when you're looking at the draft,
Under appointments?
right, and it goes,
You go to the bottom where it says contact with solicitor.
it would be, yeah, right after appointments.
I think looking at the new version of 005
Mhm.
should probably go under consultants.
Hmm.
I guess you could say under appointments, I guess, either one.
Yeah, either one would
Yeah,
work,
it
but
could actually go either way. I almost actually think putting it under the solicitor title might be a better idea because it states right there.
Under appointments.
Yeah.
okay, appointments, that works. Good, 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 good. All right.
You got that, Christine? Do you understand where we are?
And you want one of those.
Yep, so
Yeah.
yeah, under appointments number 2 solicitor, it would be a 2A and then have that text in there.
Going too quick for you? All right. Are we done with that one?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my board docs just went down. That's back.
Good.
Yeah, mine's working.
Let's not do a repeat of that, shall we?
We're not gonna review it. Okay, number 2, policy 610, purchase is subject to bid quotation. This was removed from the agenda and Elizabeth asked me to get this one and 611 put back on. So Elizabeth, you're gonna have to explain to us why.
Okay,
Because there was something on there that I saw, but I don't know where you're headed at, what you want to talk about.
okay, thank you, I appreciate that. All right, not
So
that this.
try and keep it short though.
I'm gonna try, I will. So we see the one that's in draft. This is a easy peasy fix. The links still aren't working in the document, but luckily the links work at the very bottom of the page. So it's just a link issue. So that just has to be cleaned up, please.
Yeah, PSBA one.
Yep, no big deal. This one, if we go to page 2,
Which one is this one?
the 610, the
Okay.
draft. The one that's in drafts for us to
Oh, I
review.
gotta get out of it. I want to active.
Oh, okay. Okay, so top of page 2, here's my question, and this will be, if we don't know for sure, why is my page 2 different here? Huh. That's interesting. All right, anyways, page 2, electronic bidding. Do we currently, is that something the business office or whomever uses is electronic bidding? Because I've never heard anything about it. I'm just asking right now.
Well, I would take that as somebody could submit a bid electronically.
Yeah, so we do.
We do that with the borough and
stuff on- yeah.
township.
It's just that we can, not everything has to be in sealed envelopes. We can do things.
Okay, so we
Right.
do. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, that's fine. Okay, now it's just a typo. Under electronic bidding, the second line, the district shall electronically, da, da, da. If you notice, there just has to be a space after the bracket number 5. After bracket number 5, hit enter, and then,
Oh,
so
the price
price
quotations
and
are together,
quotations will
yeah.
be together, please. Okay, then under quotations. We have seen this come up, and I would like for us to consider tightening it up, so there's no more of this gray area. We have the power, I believe, to do this. Strike out, unless exempt by law. Strike that out. And then replace the stricken out unless exempt by law. Replace it with at all times. At least 3 written bids, blah, 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 shall request it for the board. And if you want me to go into grave detail on why, I will say so, but trust me, it will help with transparency and to end surprises.
I
With the
disagree,
under-
I disagree
Okay.
with that because there are statewide programs such as CoStars and that sort of thing, which can help minimize the amount of time that we need to in order to go through these processes. It basically slows down our ability to get work done. Ultimately, if the board says that we have to get 3 bids on everything that's over whatever dollar amount
threshold,
it is, then,
yes.
I mean,
That's-
that's your prerogative.
That's kind of the way I think it should be. We should have to get, because we're still responsible to taxpayers. Even CoStars, when I was bidding out stuff through CoStars, I actually got 4 different prices through CoStars people. So I think to be efficient to the taxpayers, anything over that certain dollar amount, whether it's CoStars or not, we should get 3 bids at least. And by a certain date, if we don't,
We
hey,
don't.
then it's just one person.
Mhm.
But I think it should state that we get, what was it, $12,800 is
Whatever
the
that-
new
I
number?
don't remember what the number is, but yeah, whatever.
But we should just put a blurb in there that, at least 3 written, or I don't know if you want telephonic or electronic,
Well, just bids,
but
however
3
administration.
bids for every single purchase over X amount of dollars.
Mhm.
I think
Well,
that's
yeah,
would be a smart move, and it shows the taxpayers that,
I don't think we should put the X amount of dollars on there because it talks about the Pennsylvania final adjusted base amount.
It's number 2. Yep. Yeah, that, you know that, but I think we just leave it up to administration. However you want to get those 3 bids, if you want to get 3 CoStars, if you want to get a mix of local CoStars, however you want to do it.
So you're recommending that we just basically take out the unless exempt by law, so
Yes.
just strike that out and start with at least 3 bids.
3
Price-
written or
price-
telephonic postcard. Mhm. Yep. Yeah, that will take care of anything in the future. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we'll, and-
okay, we're doing what? We're striking out unless exempt by law.
yes,
And what are we adding in
No,
there?
we don't need to add anything.
Okay. At least 3. Should we put in there, it does, CoStars doesn't matter,
doesn't,
No,
or it
doesn't
doesn't matter?
matter.
as long
Okay.
as
It's not
there's.
CoStars, there are other government,
There's other
pre-vetted
government,
contract. It's not, CoStars is just an example. There's several
Right.
versions of that organizations that pre-vet the best pricing.
okay, so we're just gonna get 3 bids regardless.
That's what you're asking for?
Yeah,
That's, so you're adding time and effort on our side of things, so.
well,
And I
really,
understand what you're
it's
saying.
not that big a deal. We put it out for bid.
You automatically get them.
All it is boom, look at a price. That's.
Yeah.
That's it. It's up to them. You put it out for bid by a certain date. And if they respond, they respond. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, but you'll still see when you put it on CoStars or whatever, you still get those other people who are throwing in a bid, so you just have to save them,
I'm just
that's
letting you
all.
know that the impact is it's going to take longer for us, and it's, if that's what the board wants, that's what the board wants, fine. I'm just letting you know that it's gonna slow down some of our process.
I don't see how it would, but
I know it. I don't know that I can explain it in great detail here in the moment. I know it'll slow.
because when I did mine for a $250,000 project, it was just open the email, boom, there's their bid, open the email, there's theirs, and who's the lowest. That was pretty simple. All right, I can understand where you're at with that. Is there anything else on that policy, Elizabeth, you wanted?
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
The next major section down on the same page, delegation of responsibility. I read 7 other school board policies, and they all came from the top 10% of the school districts in public schools in Pennsylvania. So that's how I do my research, just to FYI. None of them use the word purchasing agent. It says the board may grant the board secretary.
Did we lose it?
No, we're still on. It's just that there's nobody logged in.
Oh, okay,
Hopefully he's not having problems. I guess he would let you know.
all right.
Okay, so under delegation of responsibility, again, I'm going back to the research I did on the 7 other public school districts. None of them had the word purchasing agent in there. They all said the same thing. Board secretary and or board secretary business manager. So,
The purchasing agent is our business manager.
well, then can we please replace the word, because we don't ever have, I looked everywhere, I couldn't find a definition of purchasing agent anywhere. So can we just, my ask is, can we just replace the word purchasing agent with business manager, or whoever you want? If you want it to be the superintendent, we can make it the superintendent. Just the purchasing agent is not a word that is directly goes.
I think legally, business manager is established as the purchasing agent. So I think that's a tie-in with kind of how the law of purchasing
Okay.
things works here
But-
in the state.
Sure, I understand that, but if all the other school districts, none of them use the word purchases, they either use the word secretary, superintendent, or
Can
business
there, can there
manager.
be more than one purchasing agent?
Oh, you can name as many as you wanted to. Yeah, that's the problem,
It's a business manager.
but we don't have a definition of that. So we could either add the definition of a purchasing agent is the business manager, or we just replace the word purchasing agent everywhere with the word business manager, whatever you folks want to do. Just so there's no, it's clear
Like-
who,
If anybody could be a purchasing agent, then I would say, okay, a business manager. Cause Joni is the one that buys everything, right?
It goes through a whole lot of vetting, but if you want to, depends on what you mean by ultimately. The board ultimately purchases. these things. So, but she's the one that signs off on things after things get kind of vetted and before it goes on the bills for payment.
Why don't we
The
just,
purchasing agent is designated by the board as the business.
then let's just replace that with business manager.
Okay,
thank you.
That clears that up.
Mhm. Yeah, because in the policy, legislation, it says, the school board authorize or appoint the secretary of the board or other executive as purchasing agent for the district.
right. And this, you all as the board have designated the business manager as the purchasing agent.
Right, but that's why I'm just saying,
Okay.
it's, if we could just clean that up so we all know
Alright.
who that individual is.
Anything else in that policy?
I believe that was the last one. I appreciate your time on that.
Okay,
Yep, that's all looks really good.
all right.
Thank you for your patience. We're getting there.
Anybody have anything else to talk about on 610? All right. That said, let's move on to, you wanted 611 also?
Is this also a purchasing agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this is, here, I've got it right here. Real quick, it's just cleaning up some grammar to make it more transparent, understandable, consistent, whatever words you'd like to use. Under 611, delegation of responsibility, I wrote a note here after comparing with the other school districts. Right now, ours is different from theirs. Generally speaking, we have too many staff on this policy that was added. And if you look at the links, I think we should just go back to what the other school districts are doing and to just strike out the word purchasing agent. Keep business manager and board secretary. Now, if you want to keep the superintendent in there, Dr. Redmond, I think that'd be fine, but as long as they're consistent throughout.
Mhm.
Do you want to, but get rid of the word purchasing agent, it would only be the business manager and the board secretary. And then do you want to be on this also?
Yeah,
And-
since we changed purchasing agent on the other one, I have no problem with that.
So in that first paragraph would just be removing purchasing agent.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And in the second paragraph would
Right.
also be changing
business
purchasing agent
manager.
to business manager.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then just, I found an FYI here, at the very bottom under the legal section, The very last one, 24 PS 508. For some reason, when you hit on all the links, this isn't a big deal. I'm just letting you know. For some reason, if we could ask PSBA this, why does the very last link there, 24 Pennsylvania statute or PS 508? It doesn't match up to anything in the document. So either there's a link missing or it's not needed, or maybe it just, see what I'm saying?
Yep, I'm looking at the link, actually.
For PS 508.
Yeah, right here, this one right here.
I'm going back at it here.
This, if you click on 1, 2, or 3, there's 1, 2, and 3, but then there's this odd one just like hanging out there. It doesn't
Okay.
mate up with anything there. It's not 1, 2, or 3. It's completely separate. So either it's not
Majority vote
needed.
required.
I guess I should get the microphone. I'm sorry. It's either not needed or there's a link missing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that really doesn't correspond to what we're doing for purchases, does it? Oh, yeah, it does, down towards the bottom. Exceeds $100, fixing salary.
Yeah, I printed out link 508. I mean, I printed it out, 24 PS. I mean, there is text in there that kind of coordinates, but there's no, it doesn't coordinate with any text in here. So I don't know if we're should be adding in this text from 508.
No, I don't, yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't see anything in 508 that is relevant to
If we could
policy
just,
611.
could we ask PSBA what they want us to do, and we'll just do whatever they say? Is that all right? Either add a link or take it out, or
Okay,
It's tangential
are
to,
you caught up with us? Sorry. Dr. Redmond, you all right with that?
Yep.
Okay. So you'll get with PSBA and ask that?
yeah, that's Christine Old, she has her.
Okay, Christina.
okay, thank you so much.
Let me back up my bus here. Next one, number 4, policy 626,
Mhm.
federal fiscal compliance.
Yeah. May I start, Chair Chris, or do you want to jump in now?
Go ahead, Christine, you don't have a 626. It may be mixed up here. Yeah, okay, I see it now.
Right.
Yeah, you have them all. I didn't realize there was that many. Okay,
Where's my 16? Here it is. Oh, sorry. Here, that one. Okay,
that's my stuff.
again, I compared I think I only compared 5 of those school districts for this one, so please. What I found odd, and I'm just gonna share this with you, what I found odd was all these attachments. That they weren't ARs, administrative regulations, but then all the other school districts that I looked at did the same thing. They took all these other things, instead of making them ARs, they have them all as attachments to the policy. So I'm not sure why PSBA did that. So first I'd like to ask them, why are they extensions of the policy versus ARs? You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if those other school districts just did a blanket adoption of this policy or what happened. But I've never seen anything like this, to be honest with you. So that was my first question. Should they be ARs or should they actually be extensions of the policy, whatever PSBA's lawyers? See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You see all those?
They don't, when you open them up though, they're not
They're word-
administrative regulations that look more like how you enact the policy.
Right.
They're more information about the policy. So that's not an AR, that's.
That's
seems
what I
like it-
mean.
That's what, they should be attachments because it expounds on the policy different than an AR. So an AR is how we enact the policy. This
Right.
isn't how you enact it, it's just more information about it.
That's what I'm saying. It's all in a Word document. Like I said, I've never seen anything like this in the 6 years I've been on the policy committee. So I don't know why PSBA or whomever did it this way, but if they could clarify, is it actually a policy that we're adopting? Or is it just definitions or explanatory information?
That's what it seems like when you open it up.
And my guess, Elizabeth, is
Yeah.
it goes back to federal programming where a lot of for auditing purposes, it will say like to have the policy and then the proof of A, B, and C. So I'm guessing that they generalize what those audits consist of, and that's that information there. So it's
Yeah,
makes
that's,
it
a-
easier.
that's a good point. When I'm looking through this, this is information that we have to have as part of
the
our
policy.
policy in order to meet the various title
Okay.
regulations.
Okay, so that would be, thank you, because when I
Mhm.
did open the federal link,
Mhm.
oh my God, it was a nightmare going through all that, which I honestly didn't read every word verbatim, but that's, okay,
That
so that
dollar-
makes sense.
The dollar threshold too is on there,
Yep.
12.9, not
Yep.
12.8,
Okay,
that we were talking about earlier.
all right, so can we, if we can look at the, okay, so thank you very much, Justin and Dr. Redmond, that was helpful. So my next one was under authority. The second line, please. The board shall review and approve all applications for federal funds submitted to the district. Now, they have to do that. I understand that. But my question is, this is the challenge we've had. Even though we approve the application, then the money is out there and then it gets spent by administration. I understand that. But what we never do is we never get a list of the expenditures in,
Sure you do.
well, I mean, in one document, like you're getting, we have bills to pay, but we don't have it segregated out, so we know what's being spent on that particular federal grant and how much money is left, or we never see that. So I was wondering if this
Wouldn't we
would,
see that in the budget though?
Yeah.
well, we don't see whatever the money was expended for, is what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about every pencil, okay? Of course I'm not. I'm just
Well,
saying,
the way Joni explained it to me the other day, we approve a budget,
yes.
okay?
Mhm.
And anything that is spent under that budget is the stuff that comes in on the bills for payment. And
Yes.
I didn't understand that, either did President Roger,
Yes.
because we looked at the bills for payment. And it shows a check number and the date it was written. And I said, how can we be approving this if it's already been done?
Mhm.
And even Roger said, yeah, I've never noticed that. And then Joni explained it to us that when we approve the budget, we're approving all purchases up to that budget limit. All that you see under bills for payment, all the Amazon candy and all that is just what's being spent out of that budget.
That
and
we've
it
already
was
approved,
already
right.
pre-approved.
Right, I understand
And
that.
Joni's gonna explain that to everybody.
I'll go through that as a weekly memo. So you have a written version of it.
Yeah, you kind of threw that in your memo.
Okay,
And
so,
Joni's gonna explain it so John Q. Public understands it at the budget meeting. Cause I think that'll clear up a lot of inconsistent stories that are.
okay, so just please keep that back in your mind, somewhere to get, and I realize that this may not be the best sentence to put it because shall review and approve. But somewhere, starting sometime in the near future, it would be very helpful for everybody that we don't just review and approve the applications, we also review and approve a basic reasonable list of the expenditures, whether it's.
So I can't agree with the review and approve on the expenditures because the board is only gonna see that after it's done, just like we do with all the other bills for payment.
Okay,
So
fair
So
enough.
If you wanna see an annual report or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I think we provide those anyway, and so there's another aspect of this too, is that the way federal money is expended is very tightly controlled. It has to look
Yes.
exactly like our application.
Mhm.
So if you wanna look at the application, you'll know how we're spending the money.
Okay, that's perfect then. We don't need that. That's perfect. As long as the application stays on the webpage so people can see it, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you get a federal grant,
Oh,
you have to spend that money specifically on what that grant was written for.
Right.
And if you don't, the feds can come back and say,
And
you
we're,
didn't use it as we want it, you gotta refund it.
and we're audited frequently on that. kind of
Exactly.
stuff, so there's not a lot of wiggle room.
I know that for a
For federal
fact.
spending.
okay, got it.
Even the county grants, they can do the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't spend that money for what you
Gone.
asked the county for, they can come back and retake it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so as long as the contracts then stay somewhere accessible so we can look at, everyone can look at them, that would be extremely helpful and clarify
Yeah, you can always
so many
jump on and
questions,
look.
probably so many right to knows. Okay, so then the next one, under delegation of responsibility to clean it up. I couldn't find anywhere in our policies where our definition of the federal programs coordinator's name is. So if we could just, and I realize in the grant, they use certain terminology, but the board designates can we replace the federal programs coordinator with an actual department name that we have here, whether it's business manager or superintendent, or, so it actually is
So we have-
connected to somebody.
Well, it's connected to Justin, and so this is something we talked about when we did the reorganization of
Mhm.
the central office. I said that Justin was gonna become our federal programs coordinator.
Right.
And that is an official title that's we're required to keep.
Okay, that's my
Yes,
question.
I
Good
remember
enough.
that.
All right, so that's, okay, not a problem. I understand. So that stays in there.
So if we have a question, you just email Justin and be done with it.
So I wrote a note, see Central Bucks in Penns
And under
Valley.
the procurement for federal programs, all of that is, all the new numbers have been updated, so that's good. So
Mhm.
that's where that 3 bid process could fall into.
Okay, this is where I see it. Okay,
Where
I
it
got
says a PA state bid threshold. They're wanting bids for anything over that also, or no?
Where are you looking?
Yeah, where are you, Chris?
Under the procurement of federal programs.
You're on what
Page.
page?
Oh, you skipped way ahead?
You're on
Yeah.
626 still, right?
Yeah.
What page?
It would probably be the last one, 626 attached procurement. I wasn't looking at the
Oh,
screen.
you're
I
not.
was looking at what she printed out.
Oh, you're on the,
The link. Okay. Are you okay, Chris?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, so, okay,
I'm
So-
on it. It's on
yeah, I got you.
page.
Right, I'm seeing that now. So at the top
Okay.
of that, the federal programs, it gives you the procurement thresholds on that table, on that first page,
Right.
both for state bid and federal.
yeah.
Does all of those require 3 bids also, or no?
That's what it's saying, over that amount.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's why, that's.
All right,
part of
so
the
we changed
consistency.
that in the other wording.
Yep.
Good,
Part of that consistency.
good.
Okay, bear with me, folks. Under delegation of responsibility, again, last paragraph. The superintendent, to assist in the proper administration of federal funds and implementation of this policy, may approve additional procedures as attachments to this policy. Then, when I looked up Penns Valley and the other ones, Central Bucks, they added another sentence after theirs, which I really liked. So keep the original text there, okay? That the way you see it in the draft, but they added this. Prior to the implementation of this policy, by the adoption of additional procedures, the superintendent shall share with the board the proposed additional procedures. And that right there seemed critical to me because right now the way it's written is it, and again, we always have to think about the bad actor, please. Right now, it says the superintendent may go in there and change the policy without the board knowing,
No, procedures, not policy.
or procedures, yes. But this one, Penns Valley and Bucks, Central Bucks, they have, Central Bucks, that's where I took this from. That one sentence right there, the only thing it does is it just says the superintendent shall share with the board the proposed additional procedures, which I think was very reasonable and fair, and it just opens up communication. It's not that the board is dictating to the superintendent. It's just that the superintendent, if they so desire to make changes, the board would just be notified. Here's the text, if you want to take a look, see, that's how they changed it. Or I should say, modified. So I mean, if you're okay with that, I really liked it. But if you're not okay with it, if you find it too, you
No,
know,
I mean, I shared with you, ARs before we put them.
yes, because you're not a bad actor this way. I'm looking at it from
As I said before, the way to take care of bad actors is try to policy them into a corner, is to hold them accountable.
What do you
But-
think?
I don't care, it's your policy. I mean, if you want to
Does
write
it
that in
seem
there-
reasonable to you? Is what I'm asking. does it-
It seems unnecessary, but like I said, if you want to put that in there.
Do you want to take a look, see, Chris? Here.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, for some reason.
Proper administration of federal funds and implementation policy. Additional procedures. Doesn't say he's changing policy. He can approve additional procedures. That would be like an AR
That's
Mhm.
right.
as attachments to this policy.
Yeah, if you like it the way it is, that's fine. I'm just showing you an example of what other school districts did.
I can see where I can see where I don't think it would hurt. It may be a hair redundant, but the superintendent should share additional procedures he's putting in place anyway.
Okay, I'll give it to Chris. Here you go. Here's the addition from the other school districts. It's the same, it's just that that whole list section is not added. Thank you. Okay, super terrific. I don't feel it will impede your at all, but it'll just, okay,
Alright.
thank you.
It doesn't
Next,
change anything for me, like I said.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else with any of them?
There's just another one on page, what page are we on now? It's just a spacing problem. Might as well clean it up since we're here. Page 2 at the bottom. Oh, no, now it's page 3. I'm so sorry. Page 3 at the top. It's just a spacing issue. After
Okay,
line
7.
where it says 7, we just have to hit the word enter or hit the key enter and we're good to go. Justin, I'm so sorry. Pardon me. Is there anything else on this that you want us to do or change or
Justin,
anything?
not Jason.
Justin, I did. Do you feel good about, because this is really sort of, you're in the superintendent's baby here.
Yeah, there wasn't anything
Okay,
that I saw that stuck out.
okay, all right, good.
All right. So let's put that policy 626 to bed and move that.
Yeah, it came out of Bucks. Yeah, it came out of
Okay.
Central Bucks. that's what I
Policy
got.
816, district social media.
So if I can talk a little bit about what we're trying
Yeah.
to do
Go
here.
ahead.
So this isn't a changed or a new or a different policy, it's just putting it in a different place. So we have an incoming policy around artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
And the ordering that's coming from PSBA is to put that at 815.1, but we currently have an 815.1.
Okay.
So in order to clean all this stuff up, we have to retire 815.1
Okay.
and then put it on 816. Do I have that right? Yeah, and make it 816. I mean, it's kind of this weird moving shuffle thing. So we have to get rid of one, we have to get rid of one and then readopt it as another number.
I don't have a whole lot of faith in AI to begin with.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
That's,
So
well, we're not, that's a can of worms.
Understand that.
So
Thank
we'll be
you.
bringing 815.1 for the policy committee to look at in the next policy committee meeting. We're not ready for that yet.
Okay.
But this is just to prepare for us we have to have some kind of policy about AI because it's here whether we like it or don't.
Mhm.
So we need to put some policy around it. In order to put some policy around it, we want to keep it in line with the numbering system that PSBA used. In order
Right.
to do that, we need to move what is currently our 815.1. We need to retire that one and then readopt it as 816.
Okay.
And that's all this is asking. That's what line number 5 in the agenda is asking us to do.
All right.
Yeah, I have no choice. That's good. That's very good. Clean it up. Very good. Very good.
And that brings us to
Yeah.
D under PSBA revisions. Opioids. Antagonist.
Yeah.
Dr. Redmond and I had a chat about that. What did you find out?
Remind me about
Because
Oh,
having the medical director and all
right.
that,
Yep. So, we get our, opioid antagonist, which is still naloxone. But we get it from, a drug and alcohol, community organization. And we tell them, hey, this is how many we need, and they help us upkeep the inventory. And then they have, medical doctors who can prescribe it to that organization, who can then give it to us. So you were saying that for EMTs, you have to go directly to the
yeah, we have to have
MDs to get
medical
the-
command
right.
take care of it.
Right. So we're just one step removed from that. So rather than having directly talking to doctors, we're talking to this drug and alcohol support agency that's in our community that provides us with the opioid antagonist.
Is that for free?
I don't know off the top of my
Don't worry
head.
about it. I'm just,
It's not, but the one question I have, an opioid antagonist can cover 7 different or 11 different drugs, 7 of them most common. So are we only keeping one? Should that be stated in a policy somewhere?
to be more flexible, you mean?
Well, I think the flexibility is what we have right now, where the Clinton County Drug and Alcohol Organization
Mhm.
gives us whatever the medical doctors are prescribing.
Remember I had asked you about how does the Department of Education versus Department of Health figure with all of this?
Are they communicating together?
Yeah,
Huh.
because I'd like to see what Department of Health versus what the Department of Education is saying.
In terms of what
Are
should
they
be done.
agreeing with the opioid antagonist?
Well, this
or-
is the intersection here with education and health is through the Clinton County Drug and Alcohol folks.
Right,
So we, as an education organization, recognize that there's a need for us to have this kind of intervention,
oh, I agree there
right?
is.
And so because we're not the medical experts or even the drug and alcohol experts, we're going to the drug and alcohol experts to say, hey, what do we need? They say, you need naloxone or one of the other 10
Right.
things that are out there. And we say, great, we'll use that, and put it in our various opioid response kits.
Okay, so we're going to go under their word and not a physician.
Correct.
Yeah, I can't say I'm totally comfortable with that. I'd like to have a,
Well, I appreciate this, but this is my.
We don't have I'm sorry for,
Correct,
we don't have
correct.
the expertise for the drug
Right.
and alcohol things, even to the level of an EMT does, right? That's
Right.
why we're using the Clinton County Drug and Alcohol, because they are the experts in this area.
okay.
And so we're using their expertise to help us with what we need.
I just don't want to end up in a situation where, hey, you used the wrong thing on my kid. Now they're
That's-
having problems because of it.
Th-
There's
this-
good Samaritan laws that protect us from that kind of thing.
Right,
Okay.
and that was my whole thing. The red flag is, can someone sue us? Okay, that's where it always, unfortunately,
All right,
as long as PSBA or the solicitor or both is comfortable with this wording, I am totally comfortable with it.
Okay.
So,
Yep, we'll
Just-
pass it. That's part of the process. is
Yeah.
we pass it
yeah,
by.
because I was curious
Yes,
what
ma'am.
their protocols were from Department of Health versus Department of Education and if they met,
mhm,
or if they go two total different
two
directions.
different tribes doing two different things.
Because the ambulances, paramedics, even fire companies, our fire company QRS, we cannot do anything for our Narcan that we have in our rescue has to be prescribed by a physician. We have a standing order for it. And whenever it starts to expire, we gotta get his permission or her permission
To replace.
to replace.
Sure, that's fine, yeah, the different
It
camps.
has to be written. That's what brought me up on this.
No, I appreciate that, Chris, I really do.
The most common, the two most common are naloxone and naltrexone. There's actually, I was wrong. It wasn't 11 opioid antagonists. There's actually 13. And it was very vague. That's why I called Dr. Redmond and talked to him about it. So
Well, thank you.
I was curious to see what you ever found out on
Yeah, we use the expertise and the connection to the health department is through the Clinton County Drug and Alcohol.
Okay, do we have a policy or a written contract with
That's,
them or?
A memorandum of understanding or resolution. That's something maybe we should look into. Is again, just so we obviously want the best for somebody who's
Yeah, we
having an
want the
overdose, but the bad actor.
I wanna cover us
Yeah,
in the backside. I don't know if we have a contract with Clinton County on that or not.
I know.
Okay,
Thank you.
at least that way, nobody can come back legally and say, well, you're doing this.
Yeah.
Even though they tell you what to do is your contract with that.
That's right.
Uh,
What's the proof?
that's all I got. Yes, Elizabeth?
Okay, thank you for your patience. I have a request, please, Chair.
Okay,
For the February agenda, if it's not already too packed. Just so we can clean up 625, policy 625. There's just a couple little pieces in here, okay? Since we've already done the other 626, 611, 610. I'm sorry, yeah. This was just a couple of little blurbs. And then also,
So if I could
Oh.
ask, if they're just pending changes that don't change the content, it doesn't have to go through policy. If you're just like, hey, a spacing here or
right.
a link there, we can fix that without having to go through the.
Yeah, because we've already done the syllable review and we're done with it, but we can make a couple modifications here. and
well,
there.
it's like his, her,
Yeah,
and
just-
then,
right, just let us know those
insert-
things. Those aren't substantive changes, that we can make those changes without having to go through the policy revision.
well, this line though, this one might need a discussion, the second section.
Which one is it?
I hate to add something to oh my gosh, 625.
Okay, hold on here. let
It's
me
not
get-
on the agenda, so I would just, it'll only take maybe 7-8 minutes in February's meeting. I'd prefer, since it's not on the agenda, I'd prefer,
So after we adjourn, maybe Elizabeth, you and I can talk, and if it's substantial, then
okay. All right, and this is way overdue, and I feel like now is the time. Now is the time to start the discussion.
Okay,
Policy 810. The white
All right.
elephant.
you're gonna have to get with me on what you wanna do with that and send me an email
Okay.
about it and we'll look at it
Okay.
before we get into.
oh, it's about transportation.
Oh, it's transportation. Yeah, and I'll
Send me an email on it
I will,
and include Dr. Redmond and-
Tracy.
And Tracy.
and Tracy.
Yeah,
And we can all look at it, and then if we all feel we need to go forward, we can.
yeah, I'll send you my examples from other school districts.
All right,
It's-
does
it's
anybody
too
else
much,
have
it's too much.
anything they want to discuss here at the meeting quick?
No, you did a great job,
With that
everybody.
said, I'm gonna adjourn it at 11:17.
Super terrific. Thank you.